Do you think that your basic salary is enough for you? Well, it is never enough basically. Do you notice that the prices of gasoline, food and other basic necessities seems to be going up most of the time? Remember when toilet rolls are being sought after during the pandemic? We live in a world where our money is being controlled by our government without knowing it. Our world observed a recent crisis, yet governments borrowed more or even printed more dollars in the name of saving the economy. All of these monetary policies applied by the central banks affect every dollar that you own. So what are the consequences of these bad economic policies? It's just inflation, which robs the wealth of the middle working class as it dilutes the money that you work hard and toil your sweat for. The value of your money shrinks every time whenever the government prints more money. Imagine how much you could buy 10 years ago with your salary today. Don't underestimate this. It's a lot actually. To prove it to you, 1 Malaysian ringgit 20 years ago is about 1 ringgit and 45 cents purchasing power today. To understand why this happens to all fiat or paper currencies, first let's talk about the currencies we are using now in our daily lives. From the euro, US dollar to the ringgit, these fiat currencies are controlled by the governments and central banks. They are not backed by physical commodities such as gold or silver, but rather by the supposed faith we have for our governments that issued them. Back then, gold was a part of the backing of the US dollar as part of the Bretton Woods Agreement. In the past, the United States had 75% of the world's monetary gold, and the US dollar was the only currency still backed directly by gold. As the world rebuilt itself after World War II, the US saw its gold reserves steadily dropped as lots of US dollar flowed to war-torn nations and its own high demand for imports. To counter this issue, President Nixon announced the suspension of convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets. With the end of the Bretton Woods system, the world economy entered the era of fiat currencies. This means that the government has the power to print money wherever they want to and whoever they want to issue the money to. Unfortunately, there are negative consequences doing so, which one of them would be the value of their currencies going to go down. Let's take an example of a country where its currency has devalued tremendously. Such a country is Venezuela. Venezuela has been printing too much money since 2013, which led to hyperinflation. The devaluation of the bolivar exceeded 1,000,000% by 2018. The fall of this currency's value also caused the dramatic rise of imported goods. The Venezuelan economy went into a financial crisis. President Nicolas Maduro and his government thought that they could solve this economic crisis by printing even more money. As time passed on, the injected money added to the supply of this currency, pushing the value of the bolivar down even further. As prices rose, the government printed more money to pay its own bills. This vicious cycle is what causes the unavoidably hyperinflation. Citizens had too much worthless cash. They even had to pay a loaf of bread with a stack of cash.
When you have what's called a fiat currency, backed by nothing but government promises, not backed by gold, not backed by silver, but just backed by the hot air of politicians. When you have a fiat currency, it rests only on confidence, and when confidence breaks, you then have the tipping point and the currency then goes into hyperinflation. You have a flight out of the currency. That's what happened in Weimar Republic, that's what happened in Zimbabwe, that's what happened in Buenos Aires.
Does the causes of and effects of hyperinflation worry you? It should, because most likely the country you are in now seems to be committing the same mistake. So how would you protect your wealth from being stolen from you through inflation? You may think of investing in equities and the stock market. These are just too volatile, and we saw how markets have crashed abruptly during the COVID-19 crash. If you are considering about properties, well, they require bank loans and banks are not too ready to loan out now. This does not include the fact that rental businesses now is bad. You might have heard of investments like gold and silver, but these precious metals are not convenient to store safely even if you can get a hold on the physical commodity, which is hard to procure now. What if there is a special form of money with store value characteristics that is better than fiat currencies? It is better because it is inflationary proof. This is none other than Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin is deflationary. Bitcoin has a fixed supply schedule which only exists with 21 million Bitcoins globally by the year 2140. Currently, more than 18 million have been mined by users across the globe, leaving about 20% left to be mined currently. The creator, anonymously named Satoshi Nakamoto, mentioned in the white paper that Bitcoin's quantity is capped at 21 million, which is a monetary policy based on scarcity. He explained that Bitcoin is anti-inflationary and no one can ever add more or delete Bitcoin to the supply chain. This means that the supply of Bitcoin will be decreasing at a predetermined schedule. This supply decreasing mechanism is controlled by the Bitcoin Halving events that occur every 4 years approximately. A good example would be gold and its scarcity. Gold is mined out of the ground, but as time goes on, it gets harder and harder to find and mine. As gold supply drops, its scarcity is in a way guaranteed. For Bitcoin, this is Bitcoin's way of using a synthetic form of supply rate that halves approximately every 4 years until all Bitcoin are mined and released into the market circulation. When Bitcoin was started back on the 3rd of January 2009, Bitcoin was able to be mined 50 per block in every 10 minutes approximately. In May of 2020, after 3 halving events, miners are now able to mine only 6.25 per block. Just like gold, as long as demand levels are maintained or goes up, the prices will naturally grow higher. This is part of the basic economics where for any commodity, if demand goes up and supply goes down, its price will eventually rise over time. Finally, we would like to highlight that the Bitcoin supply protocol is regulated by the Bitcoin blockchain, which is censorship resistant and decentralized. No one party or authority is able to control, alter, or manipulate this protocol. Therefore, Bitcoin is definitely better money.
With Bitcoin, instead of there being one ledger that keeps track of who has how many Bitcoins in what account, there's a copy of this ledger, but it's on everybody's computer around the world that's running a copy of the Bitcoin full node software. More than 100,000 copies of this ledger around the world. And those 100,000 copies of the ledger all stay in sync with one another. And those ledgers are in, every country around the world. So let's say I send some money to you via Bitcoin for something that a government doesn't like. There's no Bitcoin company that they can call. There's no Bitcoin server that they can unplug. All they could do is arrest the two of us, but that doesn't stop the Bitcoin network as a whole. It keeps right on going. So the real powerful invention of Bitcoin is this ledger that's not on any one computer. The ledger is distributed across the entire planet, so there's no single place that anybody could go to stop or modify it or unplug it or turn it off. And so for me, that's what's so exciting about Bitcoin.
We hope that you are fascinated by Bitcoin's supply methodology. Want to learn more about Bitcoin's deflationary characteristics? Do you not want to capitalize on Bitcoin and make more money out of Bitcoin's price movements? You can do so easily by signing up to our Bitcoin Cycle Analysis Workshop. To learn more, just contact us to reserve your seat. Thank you and see you there. We hope that you have enjoyed this insightful video report. Please give it a like and do share it with your friends. To explore further on profitable Bitcoin analysis, please check out our live Bitcoin seminars and webinar events. The link access to the event platforms are listed in the description of this video below.